And welcome to the Business Spotlight. I'm Pat Dewar, and today we've got an excellent show. We're going to be talking about relationship management, not in a fuzzy way, but in a very software-ish way. And what I mean by that is this. I've got the co-founder, co-inventor of a CRM, customer relationship management software called ACT. Now, if you remember from the 80s, that was one of the foundation stones for relationship management in the professional environment. He's gone on and grown beyond that, sold ACT years ago and created a new service new company called VIPorbit, and it's about who's in your orbit. I believe that relationships are like diamonds. I don't throw any away, and I believe Mike has even more to offer you. If you're a business owner, if you're a professional, you should be chiming in right now, listening how you can enhance who's in your orbit. Mike, thanks for doing the show.
Patrick, thanks for having me.
Yeah. I want to get into your story. Tremendous history, created a foundation stone that has built a billion-dollar industry. The CRM industry is tremendous. Now you've gone on to create great things. Tell me more.
Well, ACT was born out of desperation. Most people don't know that. My partner and I, both career sales guys, failed in our first software product with a 100,000 angel investor behind us, and we were almost out of money and said, this dog ain't gonna hunt, what do we do? And so we had a 4-hour brainstorm session on July 4th, 1986, from which I still have that napkin. And it was there that we basically said to each other, what do we need to help us be more successful? And we started an exchange, and out of it was conceived ACT, and that's how it was born.
Now, it grew for a number of years. Eventually, somebody came in, you sold the company.
Yes.
And then you've moved on to great success beyond that. I was actually exposed to your story, having been an ACT user. I didn't know who you were,
right,
but I heard you in the book Stickability. I like to listen to books as well as read them. And it was a great story of how you really have been just a pillar of tenacity in creating success. So tell me more about the journey beyond ACT.
Well, that's an interesting question, because it was evidence of great success beyond our wildest imagination, but we sold the company, and to us and our investors, that was a great outcome, of course, but there was a sad part to it as well, and that is it no longer was ours, and it was my life for so long. It was my passion, it was my baby, right? And all of a sudden, it wasn't there anymore, and you kind of find yourself floundering from time to time, and I went through that. And I had to come to grips with that, and I was lost for a while, Patrick, to be honest with you. And I did things, but ACT was so successful that everything else was anticlimactic, and I had to live with a comparative existence before and now, and cope with it. And so when I came up with VIPorbit in 2009, late 2009, as an idea, because once again I needed something myself, in the Apple world, which I'm now a user of, I had a reemergence, a rebirth of that passion far beyond even what I had with ACT, because ACT set a standard for me even.
But one of the things that you do better than most is that you build relationships, you maintain them. Is that what you want VIPorbit to be a big part of? I mean, what's the methodology there?
Well, the purpose for ACT back then, the purpose for VIPorbit to me, is that I believe people matter. It is my cornerstone. It is my foundational belief, and I also know that my net worth is totally dependent on my networks, personal and business, my entire life, right? Everybody's important, and so I know I have to earn the right with you to get your business, to become your friend, etc. And so I employ tools, software that I've designed and built, that enable me to do it more effectively and in more quantity without sacrificing the quality in the same 24/7 constraint that you and everybody else in the world has.
I'm amazed at how fast it's growing, because it's already on, I mean, you can get it for, you said the Apple world, so it's an app and it's also a software. I've got it on my MacBook Pro. What else about that?
It's on the Mac. It's a standalone product. It's not tied to the web. It's on the iPad and it's on the iPhone. Each of those are standalone versions. However, if you have 2 or more of those devices, Apple devices, it automatically syncs to the other device, so it enables you to be device independent. And because what I say, Patrick, and I'm a user too, don't ever forget that. The most important thing I want with me at all times is everybody I know and everything I know about them, everything I have scheduled, and everything I've curated about what I've done with or for them, on demand, instant recall, photographic memory, executive assistant. That's hard to beat.
Right.
And that's what I want. And tools today that are mobile, as we all enjoy them, facilitate that capability. So why not get that kind of productivity out of them?
I'm just amazed at how versatile the product is. I mean, it reaches into social media and several other things as well, right?
Yes, but it goes much deeper than social media. I have somewhat of a contrarian view towards social media. I do admit the positives, but there's also some soft underbelly, dark side. Social media is really social me. It's all about me. And we live today in a superficial world in many ways. Quick access to information, aggregated up with Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, but we all have competition, so everybody knows the same thing. It doesn't enable me to differentiate myself, and real relationships that are sustainable have to be differentiated, and that's where we go to a much deeper level.
Very good. Well, folks, Mike Muhney, co-inventor of ACT, the founder of VIPorbit. You want to stay tuned because we've got more tools ahead if you're the business owner that's trying to really keep people close. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Business Spotlight. Today I've got Mike Muhney. Mike is the co-inventor of the software ACT from a while back. I guess it still exists, and he sold that company years ago, and now he is the founder of VIPorbit. We're talking about how do you manage your orbits. When I look at what you're doing, Mike, what's unique and special about VIPorbit for professionals?
Well, let's go back to the ACT era, if you will, in a laptop-only era. People weren't walking around 24/7 with laptops. They were purely business-focused from that regard, right? But in today's world, it's completely different. We have a device with us, most of us do, 24/7. Therefore, I'm not constrained by the business aspects only, but also now my personal life, meaning my entire life. Orbits, the definition of an orbit, beyond the celestial, is a person's sphere of resource, influence, and activity. Who doesn't want that? And who doesn't have that and want more of it? Okay, I do. I'm no different than everybody else. So the way VIPorbit came about is I wanted something that accommodated both personal and business aspects. Focus on business, but accommodated the personal. CRM truly is really only business, right? And it's company controlled, but I have a device, I want to be in control. So an orbit can be anything you want. I have an orbit of golfing buddies. I have an orbit of strategic alliances. I have an orbit of everybody in the media that I know. I have my board of directors. I have my investors. I have anything and everything I want. I have a family orbit. And a person can be in unlimited orbits. Think about that. I mean, Patrick, you're in my media orbit. You're in my DFW orbit. We've encountered each other at Entrepreneurs, so I have an entrepreneur's orbit. You could be in my golfing buddies orbit. But it's not just putting you in a category. So far, so good, but I'm going to put it on steroids. And the steroids is that on my phone and my iPad and Mac, but on the phone being a phone, I can do a group text of everybody in that orbit, and everybody gets it, but everybody gets it as an individual.
Nice.
If I say send group email on any of the three devices, it sends an email to everybody, but you get it as an individual. You think that I sent it personally to you, which increases my odds of you responding, right? So that we can engage, and that's what's important here. Simultaneously and automatically, it archives in everybody's history file that event occurred, so I have a curated, chronologically, most recent through the oldest, capability to reignite my knowledge of everything I've done with and for you, on demand, with me at all times.
One of the cool things I see about it is, a lot of people think, well, I don't know that many people. I go, okay, really? You can look at your own cell phone and see who you're calling, who's calling you, and you can create orbits from within there. You have orbits already. This is just basically creating a tool to enhance those. Isn't that what you're saying?
Yeah. You know, it's the most agile means by which I can manage my contacts and calendars and communications. I mean, that's really the bottom line of what it does, because I've got to squeeze more out of my day than anybody else. Everybody sells, Patrick. I've always believed that everybody sells.
I believe.
You may do architecture, you may do dentistry, you may do law, but there are competitors to you, which means why should I select you as my architect? Sell me on your services and abilities, right? Well, selling is a numbers game, and so the more balls in the air, the old saying goes, that I can throw up there and deal with, I'm going to have more dropping, and I'm going to get more business out of that. So I need to deal with more quantitatively without ever sacrificing the quality of the individual personal relationship that I want sustained. I'm not just after your business. I'm after a sustainable relationship. And let me mention one other thing. I never go into an opening of an introduction of a relationship, however that occurs, thinking a prospective customer.
Right.
Okay? Because chances are you're not going to become one. I mean, think of everybody in the whole world. And everybody becomes a customer, but the mentality is to turn you into one. I go into an introduction and think, I wonder if this is a kind of relationship where we could be friends. And so my actions, my words, my demeanor is geared toward creating a likability factor toward me, where maybe we do become friends. If we don't, and it goes down from there to a customer level only, because you don't want to be friends, that's fine. But I start at a very high level. And that's how I treat people, because again, my cornerstone is people matter. And the tools that I've designed and built, and of course my teams and all that are the ones behind me that are helping do this and enliven this vision, is to bring that to reality, where you show and demonstrate that people matter.
Well, I think it's so critical too to realize that you can touch so many so easily. I mean, and if it looks like and feels like an individual touch, well, unless you're so close to your inner circle or closest orbit to know what you're doing, honestly, it's just a warm fuzzy that you're able to touch somebody and you're able to nurture that relationship to another level, And don't you find that that's the one aspect that most people are missing right now anyways? Isn't the whole social media outcry to try to communicate with others?
Social media has enabled mass communication effortlessly. That's wonderful. But people don't take it further in many cases and become accepting of the attitude that, well, everybody knows what's going on. I'm staying in touch. I have relationship management, but it's only that deep. Science has proven that there are 4 elements to a real relationship: time, intensity, trust, and reciprocity. And social media doesn't apply to all of those at all times by most users. Okay, so those who understand you have to go deeper to separate yourself, understand the reason for VIPorbit and ACT.
This is a Business Spotlight. We've got more coming with Mike Muhney right after this. Welcome back to the Business Spotlight. Today I've got Mike Muhney, co-inventor of ACT, and also the founder of VIPorbit. Software on the Apple platform, really helping you enhance your relationships to a whole nother level. So with that, Mike, I want to get into who is this software really for?
The software really is for you, and I'm looking at you because unless you are a hermit and don't have any need for relationships by which you can derive your livelihood, then you're exempt from it. But everybody else with the devices we all have with us today is a prospective user. You've got to understand that without developing relationships, your livelihood will be handicapped. The greater you do, the greater success you will achieve. So it's really the early adopters, Patrick. And I'm going to say, that it's great to have VIPorbit with me when I don't see somebody, let's say for a year, and I can instantly call up where we were, what we talked about, their kids' names, whatever they were doing, they went on vacation, just like that. But where it's really helpful for people, and again, I'll talk to you directly, is when you first meet somebody, think about it. You probably exchange business cards. What do you do with it afterwards? Maybe you take a note, but more often than not, they go into your drawer and things just fade away. But the most crucial time to be on your game, on top of your game, is when you first meet people and begin to collect information and then take the initiative to follow up and follow through. And very few people do that. So the people that understand that they've got to earn the right for your attention will adopt this very readily.
But I think it also is that whole value proposition of you value the relationship. See, if all I wanted to do is just close sales only, maybe I'll kill a few, so to speak. I'll get what I need to do done. But if I don't build a relationship with you, you have no real stickability to me, But if I build a relationship with you where it counts, we like each other. We want to know. I want to know about your family and what's going on and where things are going. And then I retain it because my brain doesn't remember everything like it used to. Just ask my wife, right?
Right. I'm the same.
I was thinking earlier about your statement of me being your golf buddy thing, and I went, no, you wouldn't want me in your golf buddy orbit.
You don't know. Maybe I do.
No. Unless they've changed the rules to high score wins, it ain't going to happen. So,
but look at how we're laughing. I mean, that's what real relationships are about, and that's what these products are intended to do, not just to collect the data, Patrick. They're meant to invite this kind of happiness, pleasure, enjoyment in being together, because we will continue to have a sustained relationship because of stuff just like this. And so that's partly why I capture this information, especially in those early days, so that I can get to this quickly.
That and your pink coat.
And my pink coat. It helps.
Well, what's funny, though, is that you have a science to what you do. I mean, whether it's your pink coat or your yellow coat, or I mean, it gets you kind of into that friendly, laughing
right
mode,
away.
Right? That's
right
what
away.
you say, right?
Yep. If people laugh about it, then I'm thick-skinned enough to make fun of myself. But you know what? It still creates laughter. It's one of the least often, if ever, talked about techniques of successful relationship development. Laughter and smiling and just, not being so, sensitive that you can't find something to make fun of yourself about. And so it's one of my ways to engage this kind of stuff.
But one of the things that you do better than anybody I know is that you actually, in a sense, take the notes on and keep up with correspondence because it is archived, but also you go back and check in on it. What did we talk about last time?
Exactly.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. Well, I also have another orbit, talking about the power of orbits, I've got 64 orbits today, by the way.
Nice.
One of them is called Touch Base, and I literally remind myself every Friday at 4 o'clock in my profile in VIPorbit to check my Touch Base orbit. There's over 100 people in it, and they're people that I have nothing scheduled with, but something might be coming up next week that I'm aware of or that happened this week, and I stroll through that list of over 100 people, and I go, oh my gosh, there's Patrick. I haven't talked to him in a while, and I just read an article that's pertinent to something that I know he'd be interested in, and I touch base with you. Then I activate and I schedule a call, and I maintain that relationship. I can't rely on anybody, and I'll bet you can't either, to follow and call me. I want to take the initiative to show you that I'm there and you're in my mind, because we all like consideration, and it's a means by which I demonstrate consideration toward you.
Well, what you're talking about, and if you're a business owner, this is, it's marketing 101, but the funniest part about it is it's not what you say, it's that you touch. That one ought to sink in. It's not what you say, it's that you touch. The fact is that we connected because you came up on my kind of orbit thing that said, hey, need to touch base with Mike. Okay, great. And we just kind of pushed it forward to the next level, had a one-on-one that was supposed to last an hour and lasted a little longer because you're a good guy to hang out with.
Well, and that's part of my trying to create this likability factor so that when I leave you, especially that first encounter, Patrick, you might say something like this in your head. You know, that guy might be a fun guy to have a beer with or something like that. That's a good sign. And that's what I'm after, right? Let's face it, relationships, whether they're business or personal, are permission-based. I've got to earn your permission to enable you to open up to me, and then you continue to give me permission if I'm doing something that is, meaningful to you, business or personal, right? Well, I'm doing the same with you. So a mutually permission-based relationship is the basis for a sustainable one.
Very good, very good. Folks, we're talking about enhancing relationships, and I know that Mike has a way of saying it, but I say, if you want to increase your affluence, increase your influence, you'll be learning more in just a second. Thanks so much. Welcome back to the Business Spotlight. I'm Pat Dewar. Today my guest is Mike Muhney. Mike is the co-inventor of ACT, and he's also the founder of VIPorbit. VIPorbit is really about enhancing relationships, and if you're in business for yourself or for somebody else and you have a circle of influence, wouldn't you like to know how to take that to another level so that you can increase the speed of trust so that you can do more business with the people that you want to? Mike, how do we get this stuff?
Well, again, right now today, VIPorbit is an Apple-only product, so you have to be an Apple user. Right? That aside, the iPhone and the iPad are available on the App Store, and they're free, which is good news to you. So you have a free solution to help you be more successful. The Mac version is on the Mac App Store that you can go to only from your Mac, and it is a $30 one-time cost. The data resides on the devices, which is great. There's no connectivity needed to the internet, no subscription fee, nothing like that. If you lose your device, though, you're at risk of losing your data, especially if you're a single device only user of VIPorbit. There is a backup, though, and it backs up your database to Amazon encrypted servers. So you're totally protected, okay? Think about that. And many of us have lost something. On our website, www.viporbit.com, you will find free downloadable PDFs and iBooks for the Mac, iPad, and iPhone version. We also have a number of 2 to 4 minute video slices of how to do this, how to do that. And I also regularly conduct webinars that are helping you get started and get you set up so that you're putting it to work very readily and quickly.
Excellent. Is there going to be a web version?
There is going to be a web version. It's definitely on the roadmap. There's even more exciting things coming in the next few months and even beyond that. I mean, we've got a rapid succession of what is going to create, in our opinion, a paradigm shift way beyond what VIPorbit itself is known to be in the market today. So stay tuned, because it's going to move into a very collaborative, uniquely collaborative means by which you can continue this effort.
When I look at the way that this was built, was there a reason that you went Apple only initially in your rollout?
That's a good question. So many things come down to the opinion or condition of the founder. And I was an Apple user. I had a Mac and I had an iPhone and had been using the iPhone for the couple years I'd had it by that point in time, the end of 2009, and I was frustrated that I was still confined to iCal and the phone list, dumb silos, didn't even know each other existed, and had no aggregate data. And so I said, I'm tired of waiting around for somebody to invent it. I know how to do this. I'm going to do it again, and I did. Nice. And had I been an Android user, I probably would have done Android, but Android wasn't out then. Apple was the first.
Right.
And so that's
and they were the lion's share of the cellular market at the time too.
Right. So we recognize that it's a big world, a lot of Windows users still, obviously a lot of Android users, web, people do love the web, and of course the Apple community. And so our roadmap certainly takes us to all of them, but we had to start and chose to start to complete the trifecta of Apple devices first.
Right. Well, the funny thing is that if you're a business owner, you're professional, you ought to really chime in on this. This is like a business 405 lesson, okay? and that is that when you look at Apple and Amazon, what is it that both of them have? Everybody's credit card number.
Yes.
I mean, they have nearly 1 billion credit cards between the two of them. That should mean something to every business owner out there, is why not engage in those areas? Now, the fact that you're putting so much of this out there for free is awesome, because people are going to be able to learn how to enhance their orbit, enhance their influence. And though a lot of people only have maybe 250, that's kind of the minimum, it seems like, number of people that we're connected to. You're saying we can do so much with those, even those 250.
Oh my gosh, I don't care if it's 50. You still have to tend to your flock, so to speak, right? You have to water the garden.
Right.
And so it depends on what you do for a living. In my case, I deal with people all over the world, and today I have about 1,500 people in my own VIPorbit database spread across the 64 orbits, but there's no limit to it. And the intensity of relationships comes and goes, but like orbits, they circle back around often, and you want to be able to pick up right where you left off. And those that are active, because they may be new, you want to really focus on for the time being to get the momentum started. All of those reasons are what we all experience every day. And so it's very agile to accommodate all of those needs that we have, because nobody's the same compared to anybody else.
So you got about a minute. Talk about to the business owner, the professional, that may not have a tool like this. What should they do right away?
Well, I would encourage you to go to the App Store, and especially the free versions, and take a look. And if you want to write me, mike@VIPorbit.com, I'd even do a personal webinar for you and anybody else you may be interested in, pertinent to your business and your needs, because it's very customizable. What you should do, though, is make a decision. Compare how you're doing things today versus how they could be improved, and if you could improve it, what would that mean to the bottom line of your business? If that answer is apparent to you, that there's a better way to do it, then you ought to take a look at VIPorbit. I will finish by saying this: we've been ranked and have won many awards, but we've been ranked #1 for the last 2 years in a row on iBusiness Magazine, the top 50 best productivity apps for iPhone and iPad users. I'm talking Dropbox, FileMaker, Evernote, Skype. They've ranked VIPorbit #1. So take a look at it.
VIPorbit, and it's VIPorbit.com, right?
Correct.
Folks, I will just tell you, as a business owner, as a professional, I encourage you to enhance the relationships that you have. Get Mike's software, get it out there in a way that you can test drive it, see what it can do for you, because I believe it'll change your world and probably your universe. We'll see y'all next time, folks. Thanks again. This is Business Spotlight. I'm Pat Dewar.